Hey everybody, welcome to the Conscious Love Show. Whether you are single, you are in a relationship, or you're healing a broken heart, this show is here to inspire you, to remind you how beautiful, lovable, and amazing you truly are, and to give you the practical tools and insights to navigate from wherever you are right now to the loving relationship that you so deeply want to have. My name is Shane Kohler. I'm a certified transformational coach and trainer with over a decade experience helping people release their trauma and open their hearts to love. I've delivered seminars all over the world, coached thousands of people through my online platforms and programs, and every week I'm coming straight to you with the hottest insights and the best teachers around, bringing you powerful resources and profound conversations to heal your relationship with love, dating, and yourself. I'm so grateful you're here, and if it's your first time, welcome. You can count on me to always show up for you with my very best and a commitment to learn and grow myself so I can serve you to my maximum ability. Thanks so much for tuning into the show. I've got some awesome things planned for you today. So without further ado, let's dive in. All right. Hello again, everybody. Hello, and welcome back to the Conscious Love Show podcast. Shane Kohler on with you today. As always, pleasure to be here and look forward to diving in. And today's episode is going to be my last recorded episode of the year. So for the next couple of weeks, I'm going to be releasing some of the best of 2025, some of our most loved episodes. So make sure to tune in for those. But this is going to be the last time I sit down and record this year. And I just wanted to take today to send a heartfelt message to anyone who is experiencing the love they were seeking didn't arrive this year. And I know what that feels like. And I relate deeply to, if that's you, where you are right now. And I just wanted today to be a heartfelt message, not about anything you change or need to fix or anything you need to do to correct this, because honestly, and what I want to talk about today is that there's nothing wrong. And so I don't want to tell you, here's what you need to do to fix this situation. But what I want to do is just be with you in the ache of it, because I know what that feels like. And I know the thoughts and emotions that come with that. And I want to name that today. And I just want to be with you in that if you're in that right now, because there's nothing wrong with you. You're not missing out on what you're supposed to be missing out on. And I don't want to just say a bunch of cliche stuff, but I do just want you to know that you're exactly where you need to be right now. And I know that might sound like meaningless fluff, but I want to explore some ideas today that really draw that out and paint that picture. And so I just want to start by saying, like, wherever you are right now, I want to send you some love. And I want to send you the message that you are whole, that you are complete, that you are not missing out on what's meant for you. And today I want to share a message of trust. And I'll talk about what that means. Actually, it's a funny coincidence, but in my Inspired Love group, what we do is we explore several themes of conscious love throughout the journey that people take. And I run it every Tuesday night. So I record the podcast during the day on Tuesday, and then Tuesday evenings I run the program. And tonight's theme that we're exploring is actually the theme of trust. And I thought it was perfect to also speak into that a little bit in the podcast today, because when we start out the year, and right around the corner is January and New Year's, and that's when we set our intentions and our resolutions and all of that. And when we start out the year, everyone's, saying, this is going to be my year, everything I want, love and abundance and success and friendship and connection and all the things we want. We say, this is my year for it. And then the year takes us on its own journey. And sometimes we arrive at the end of the year, which is where we are now in December, and we look back and say, oh my God, what happened to the year? Like I remember being in January like it was yesterday, and I remember setting my intentions and saying all these things were going to happen for me. And now here I am, and it's December and it's the end of the year. And what the fuck happened, right? Like, where did the year go? And sometimes we can feel the ache and the pain of, wow, a whole other year has passed, and I feel like I didn't get any closer to what I want. And if you're experiencing that around the idea of love and partnership, that's a particular kind of ache, and I want to honor that. But I just want to also invite everyone else into the conversation to say that, like, there are places in my life where I feel that right now. And no matter who we are or what path we're on or whether we're in a relationship or not, we can all look and say there are places in our life that we feel that to some degree. And so what I want to start by saying here is I want to normalize that is not you missing the boat or you not doing something you were supposed to do or there's something being wrong with you, but that is literally what it feels like to be human. And we all start out the year with these beautiful intentions. Some of them happen and some of them don't, and that's life. And I want to honor that reality. And in fact, something I want to say today as we speak into trust is I want to start to presence that when I talk about trust, or when I talk about you're exactly where you're meant to be, or when I talk about trust your timing and trust your journey and things like this, I want to take it deeper than just everything's going to happen for you and just trust that it's all going to work out. What I want to share with you is trust that it's okay even when it doesn't. And that's maybe not the most Instagrammable truth, because everyone wants to believe that there's, a secret $1 million waiting for them around the corner and that the love of their life is going to bump into them the next time they walk outside. And maybe that will happen, right? Like, I'm not saying that won't happen, but what I'm saying is, instead of waiting for something to happen in my life to tell me that I'm going to be okay or to tell me that I'm good enough, what I really want to presence today is leaning into a surrender that you are good enough right now. That everything is okay right now, that even if that love didn't come into your life right now, or if there's something else that you were hoping for this year that isn't happening for you, I want you to really presence for yourself that does not reflect who you are. That who you are is already whole, is already love. And are there ways you can improve in the next year? Sure there are. Are there skills you can master? Are there risks you can take? Of course, there's always that possibility. But just the fact that maybe you want to, in the new year, step into a new level doesn't mean that the level you're at right now is wrong. And that's the message that I want to share today. So I want to talk about trust. And when I talk about trust, especially the way we explore it in the Inspired Love program and the way I explore it with my clients, I'm not talking about trust in the sense of like, you need to trust this person or you need to have trust in a relationship. It's a bigger conversation than that. It's about trusting your life. It's about trusting the universe. It's about trusting God if you believe in God, or maybe most importantly, it's about trusting yourself. That whatever comes in your life, you are still whole, you are still worthy, you are still good enough. It's about trusting who you are. Not trusting something outside of yourself, but trusting something that is deep inside of you. And I think we're all alchemists. And if you think of alchemy in the legendary sense of it, alchemy was turning lead into gold, right? It was the magical process of turning lead into gold. And in a mythical sense, there was like this desire to find an alchemist who could turn lead into gold, because if like the king or somebody could find this alchemist who would be able to turn lead into gold, they would become the richest king in the world. And we're all alchemists, which means we're all the richest kings and queens in the world, right? And I think the first step to alchemizing something, to turning lead into gold, is to really accept the lead for what it is. And I think in, coaching culture and in personal development culture and in, all of these domains, it's like we don't want to be with the lead because it's always about getting to the gold. And I think that often has us miss an essential step. Because the thing is if you don't make peace with the lead, you can't really hold the gold. And that's the part that people miss. We're always looking to the future. We're always wanting more without appreciating what we have and appreciating where we are. And I'm not trying to challenge you on how you feel right now. If you're feeling disappointment, I get that, and that's valid. I'm not telling you just be grateful, and like I don't want you to spiritually bypass your experience right now. But what I would like to encourage is if you can lean into a sense of surrender in the experience. Lean into a sense of trust in the experience. And recognizing that if there's something you're disappointed about in your life right now, or a way that you feel lost, or a way that you feel let down, or a way that you feel alone, that is the lead that you're in the process of alchemizing. You're in the process of turning that lead into gold. And the more you resist that process, the more you limit your ability. But I truly believe in miracles, and I experience them in my life, and I witness them all the time. And the most amazing thing happens where maybe many years will go by and we'll feel like we're not moving forward, and we'll feel like we're stuck, and we'll feel like nothing's happening and nothing's moving. And then suddenly something happens and we experience an insight, a revelation, some kind of miracle. And I don't mean something externally, I mean something internally, an internal miracle, something that fundamentally shifts us from the inside out. And suddenly everything in our life starts getting alchemized. And that's not a fantasy. That's not a fairy tale. That's real. I experience that in my life all the time. I witness my clients experiencing it in their lives. I witness my friends experiencing it in their lives. You know, I have some really close friends of ours who years they couldn't have a baby. And they were doing IVF and doing all this. And then, you know, after years and years, nothing working. And they were almost at the point of giving up. And they said, we're going to try one more time and this is it. And they had their baby, and now they have the most beautiful family, the most beautiful child. And all those years where it wasn't happening, something was being alchemized in them. And I just want to invite you to trust your wisdom, trust who you are fundamentally, trust your process. Trust the magic of alchemy that is occurring in your life. And maybe one of the most mysterious parts of this is that it doesn't make sense right now. But if you turn around a couple of years from now and you look back and you'll say, oh, I see exactly why it all needed to happen the way it happened. And don't take my word for it. Like right now, look at where you are and look back in your life to a few years ago and something that didn't make sense at the time. And you can see now that it makes sense the way it happened and the reasons it happened for. And I know there's such a strong tendency, especially in this season. And I think loneliness is highlighted in this season because it's all about family. It's all about connection. It's all about, that's what is marketed to us in the season. And if you're not fitting into the marketing that's happening around you, then you look around and you feel like something's wrong with you. You know, if you don't have that special person to share it with, or if you don't have a loving family to go home to, or if you don't have the financial abundance to buy everybody all the gifts you want, or whatever it is, you feel like something's wrong with you. And I want you to know that that might be more normal than the opposite. I think the perfect holidays that we see online or that we see on television, the Hallmark movie version, like, I think that's a fantasy. And there are people right now who are going to be posting their Christmas pictures with their 3 kids and their matching pajamas in front of the Christmas tree. And they're going to post images on social media of their big dinner with their big families. And some people are going to look at that and feel left out or feel left behind. And when those people are not on Instagram, some of them feel deeply disconnected from their spouse. Some of their children hate them. Some of them can't even hardly stand to be in the same room as their parents. Some of them have been so conditioned into patterns of people pleasing and performance that they are showing up to Christmas or holidays or whatever they're doing, and they're cooking and they're hosting and they're connecting, but they feel like they're dying inside because it's all fake and nobody knows them. And sometimes the reason someone finds themselves in that position is because they weren't willing to do the hard alchemizing work that you might be doing right now. And I'm not saying, that we wish poorly on people. Don't look at people's Instagram pictures and be like, oh, I hope your family sucks, right? Like, that's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is we just don't see the whole picture. And we tend to think of this as a jolly, happy time of year, but it's not that way for more people than you know. And I say that not to wish people suffering, but I say that to show you that if you are suffering right now, you're not alone in that. And there's nothing wrong with that. And by this time next year, you might be in the most loving relationship of your life, and some of those people on social media might be getting a divorce. And again, I'm not wishing that on anyone. I'm just stating the facts. So you're not behind. You didn't miss the boat. And it doesn't mean that anything is wrong with you. From a spiritual sense, there is a timing to life. And I know a lot of these things get thrown around. Everything happens for a reason, and trust the process, and you're on the right path. And these things get thrown around and they sound really stupid and cliche. And it's the way people use them, often they are really stupid and cliche. But every deep spiritual teaching throughout history has had some version of this, and the fact that modern culture has bastardized it doesn't change these fundamental truths. And a fundamental truth about life is that it's not here to make us happy. It's here to challenge us for growth. As human beings, it's because we have overdeveloped egos in a way that no other animal on the planet does. And we're self-conscious in a way that no other animal on the planet is. And we have these weird expectations that everything is supposed to be perfect all the time. But look at every other creature on the planet. Who has a perfect life? I mean, there are animals sleeping in the snow right now. I mean, like who on this planet has a perfect life? Every single living organism in the world grows through challenge, and human beings are not separate from that. Just because we have central heating and a fireplace and a cozy couch to sit on and a mug of hot cocoa doesn't mean that we're immune to challenge. And there's this overinflated ego idea that our life is supposed to be perfect, and if it's not perfect, we've somehow missed the boat. But that's not life. That's an ego distortion of life that isn't true for anyone. You find that person with the perfect family on Instagram or the perfect life on Instagram, and you really pull back the curtain and you look at their life, and it's not perfect. And the ones who pretend it's perfect, the ones who can't be honest about the areas where they feel left behind or they feel lost or they feel like they're struggling, those are the people who are struggling the most. they're crumbling inside while trying to hold it all together. Because the human journey is to face challenge. There are periods of loneliness. There are periods of isolation. There are periods of feeling left behind. That's just the reality of life. You know, I'm very blessed. I'm in a pretty happy season of my life right now. You know, I have 2 beautiful dogs that I love more than anything. I have a beautiful wife. And we just had our first and probably only child this year. And on the surface, things look really happy, and things are really happy. You know, we love our daughter more than anything in the world. I mean, I've never experienced a love like this before. It's a dream come true. A dream a few years ago I didn't even know I had. But, you know, here's the other side of it too. This is my whole world. I don't have a family to go home to for Christmas. My father, I haven't spoken to in years, and last time I talked to him, he told me that his responsibility to me was over when I turned 18 and that he doesn't owe me anything. And not that I really ever asked him to owe me anything, but other than just to care about me and care about my life, and he made it clear that he doesn't. A few years ago, more than a few years ago, it's probably been 10 years now, my dad decided to move to Hawaii. He didn't even call me to tell me. I called him off chance, and he's like, oh, by the way, I'm moving to Hawaii. Like, my dad was literally going to leave the state that I lived in and not even tell me. And you couple that with alcoholism and drug addiction and abuse, and there's a lot there. I got to a point with my father where I just had to decide that, you know, if he wasn't my dad, he's not someone I would want anything to do with. And since I was as long as I can remember, 2 years old, 5 years old, I have wanted him in my life so badly. And I tried so hard. Like my whole childhood, I would call every week. And maybe I'd end up talking to him 3-4 times a year. And he was home. He just didn't want to talk to me. And it was really enlightening for me to realize that that pattern even continued into adulthood. The only relationship I had with him, even into adulthood, was the relationship that I generated. My mom is another story. And, you know, my mom and I had a good relationship for a lot of years. And I was, if you've listened to the podcast, I've talked about the story with my mom. And I don't need to go into all the details today. That wasn't my intention for this episode. But what I just want to say about that is that, you know, my mom made a lot of mistakes. She also did a lot of things right. And in many ways, she was a good mom. You know, she was the one who was there for me when my dad wasn't. So there's that, right? Like, but there were systemic patterns of abuse in our relationships, and namely from the men that my mom brought into our lives. And I was the oldest, and my mom had sent me to live with my father when I was 13. So I missed a lot of it, but it was my 4 younger sisters that experienced firsthand abuse at the hands of basically 3 different men that my mom had brought into our lives. And I had forgiven all of that. I really had. I had forgiven the mistakes my mom made with me, the mistakes she made with my sister. But we recently found out that there was some abuse happening under her roof currently. And my oldest sister and I both had a conversation, and we were told to stay in our lanes. We were told that it was none of our business. And we basically set some boundaries with her. We said, these are the boundaries. And if you want to have a relationship with us, this is what we need. And she agreed to it and then went behind our backs and broke the boundaries. And this was all happening right about the time my daughter was born, and my mom was supposed to come and stay with us after my daughter was born. And I sent my mom a text and I said, you know, in light of recent circumstances and things that have come to light, I don't feel that I want you to be around my daughter right now. And so you've been uninvited. And my mom and I have barely spoken since. She recently sent me a 4.5-page letter, front and back. And in it, she argued for her innocence, showed no accountability, played the victim in the whole situation, even though she was unwilling to protect my youngest sister, who was the actual victim in the situation. And she basically wants everything to go back to normal, and she wants us to pity her. And she's mad that we're holding the boundary that we set. And I feel for her, because it's almost like watching someone so helpless and just, you know, they can't help but drive off a cliff. Like, it's, in a way, it's almost not even her fault, and yet I don't really know what to do about that, right? Like, I still don't really want her around my daughter. And again, I'm not saying this to share my sob story, but I want to share that, like, this is life, right? Like, I don't want to be in this kind of relationship with my mom. Like, I wish I had a mom and a dad who were having a big Christmas dinner and we could all go over and be happy together, and that, you know, my mom's husband wasn't abusing my little sister. Like, I wish these things. And that's not my reality. And I'm so grateful for the wife and my daughter and our puppies and this beautiful little home we have. And I'm going to protect this fucking home from everything, because it's the one sacred place in the world. And I don't want to speak on my wife's family, but, you know, we go over there for Christmas. Her family's much healthier than mine. I'll put it that way. But there's a lot there too. It's not easy with them either. And I say all this to say that this is life. You know, my family was my friends. And I moved about 5-6 years ago now from Florida, where I had spent the last 16, 17 years of my life, to New Jersey to be with my wife. And every year, all my friends get together and celebrate. And I don't get to be a part of that. And it's a willing sacrifice I've made to be with my wife and the person I love and the family that we've built. And I don't regret it at all. And yet every year I ache a little bit when I see all the people that I love most in the world, outside of my immediate family, getting together and celebrating, and I don't get to be there with them. And I moved up to New Jersey about 6 years ago. And I moved then 2 years ago from North Jersey to South Jersey. And so I've made 2 major moves. The first move was to live with my wife. And then the second move was we moved a couple hours south together to get our own house. And, you know, I left my community behind in Florida. Haven't found a new one here yet. In these years that since I moved up here, my wife has gone through cancer treatment. She almost died. I mean, like, it was brutal. And she's healthy now, and she was healthy enough to carry our daughter and give birth to her. And, like, what a blessing. I mean, oh my God, you know, we didn't think that was going to happen. And yet there's still challenges there. She still has to work extremely hard every day to take care of her health, especially being pregnant right after cancer treatment. And she and I both feel really isolated right now. We're in a new town. We've, you know, been so focused on just getting through cancer treatment and then pregnancy that we haven't really had time for social life or to make a lot of friends. And we feel really isolated right now. And, now we're in the newborn trenches of, we're not sleeping, and it's a beautiful time in our lives, and it's a very hard time in our lives. And, we're hoping as we start to get more sleep and life with our baby normalizes and we can start to get out a little more and start to establish community and make friendships in our new area. And again, I want to be really clear. I'm not complaining, but I want to let you in on the imperfections. I don't want to sit here and present like everything's perfect, because it's not. And I want to be honest with you about that, because that is the reality of life. And I'm not complaining. I don't regret any of my decisions. I'm really proud of myself for the choices I've made that got me to where I am in my life. I could be in a lot of other places, and all things considered, I think I'm in a really good place. I left relationships that opened me up to meet my wife. I could still be in some really toxic relationships. I could have given up on my relationship with my wife because it was long distance and it was too hard. And all my friends were like, how are you going to date a girl in New Jersey? And, I'm really proud of the decisions I've made. And they've led me to a good place in life, but it's not perfect. And what I want to offer you today, if wherever you are in your life, whatever areas of it are not perfect, I want you to be proud of what led you here too. I want you to be proud of the choices you've made, the areas you have succeeded in. I want you to look at yourself through the eyes of a loving friend or a loving parent. And if there was no judgment, if there was only empathy, understanding, and compassion, if you could see yourself with complete warmth, what would you see and what would you want to say to yourself? Maybe even as the year comes to a close, you can sit down and just make a little list. Like, what are you really proud of yourself for this year? What have you done well? What can you go into the next year knowing that I succeeded in these ways? And maybe as you do that, you can start to recognize that the same principles that allowed you to succeed in those areas are assets that exist within you. Those belong to you. That's not something you get from the external world. That's something that belongs to you. And can you take those assets into the new year with you? And say, not everything worked out exactly the way I wanted it to last year. There's some ups and downs, some good, some bad, some wins, some losses. But if I'm not basing my worth on the external metrics of the relationship status I have right now, or the amount of money in my bank account or whatever, like if I'm not basing my worth on some external status, what can I identify as within me that I'm bringing into a next year that is going to be the contextual foundation for everything that I create? What is there to be proud of? I'm sure when you really look at it, there's so much. Maybe the reason you're not in the relationship right now is because you left a relationship that wasn't good for you. And if you did that, like, I want to really, really acknowledge that. It would be so much easier to have not done that. There are a lot of people celebrating the holidays right now with someone that they should have left but didn't. And you did. Congratulations to you. That has real alchemical value. That is a part of your alchemizing process, and you did it. Maybe you're not in a relationship right now because you chose to take a break from dating this year. Maybe you felt exhausted and depleted, and your nervous system was drained from the apps and from engaging in situations that went nowhere. And maybe your body was just saying, please give me a break. And maybe you spent this year in solitude, or maybe you spent it building community and friendships, or maybe you spent it investing in your career or investing in something that was maybe more important for you this year. Maybe this was the year that you decided to stop chasing love and start living your life. And if you did that, congratulations. Congratulations on a year that wasn't dominated by a need for external validation, by a need for someone else to tell you that you're good enough. And that has real alchemical value, right? Like, that's part of your alchemizing process. You know, we hear these magic stories of being in the right place at the right time. And I was just standing at the grocery counter and I looked up and we locked eyes and he said hi and I gave him my phone number and he called me the next day and we've talked every day since, right? Like, we hear these like amazing stories of people who just magically stumble into the right relationship. And what we don't hear are all the years of everything that happened before that. All the times that that person had to walk away from someone that they really liked but knew they weren't good for them. And they decided to stop chasing a relationship that wasn't working and let go and trust that something that was meant for them wouldn't be that hard. All the nights they sat alone in bed just wishing that someone was there to hold them. And they had to hold themselves through it. And the amount of emotional resilience that built. And the amount of courage they built to stand on their own 2 feet in the world and not cling to someone else for safety or security. And that, you know, there's a saying that luck is when opportunity and preparedness meet. And we look at these people and we say, oh, they're so lucky. They just met their person at the grocery store. Well, they were lucky because the opportunity presented itself. But if they weren't prepared in that moment, it wouldn't have happened. And can you see that you're preparing yourself? Can you see that even if everything isn't exactly the way you wished it would be right now, can you see the process of preparedness happening inside of you? And can you trust that that's real? Don't let comparing yourself to other people online or the annoying fucking questions from your family. When are you going to get into a relationship? Or like, you know, I mean, it's maybe one of the worst things, right? You just want to go enjoy some time with your family, but you get these annoying fucking questions from everyone, right? But don't let these things take you away from the truth that you know inside your heart. That you can't miss out on what's truly meant for you. That ache you feel, that longing for love that you feel in your heart, that's not empty. That's an energetic investment. That's something that is building. And the reason it's not happening quickly or immediately is because when it does happen, it's going to amount to something worth keeping. And that right now you're in the process of preparing yourself for that. And that your desire doesn't exist in a vacuum. So whatever it is that you're aching for, whatever it is that you're longing for, whatever it is that you're dreaming about right now, there is someone in the world who shares that dream. And they're aching and longing for it the same way you are. And they're preparing themselves the same way you are. And again, the reason it's not happening instantly is because when it does happen, it's going to be something worth keeping. And you can't miss out on what's really meant for you. And I'm not saying that as spiritual, hopeful fluff. I'm saying that because that's the way it works. That's the way life works. The real ones usually wait a lot longer than they thought they would. But it's because they're waiting for something bigger than everyone else is jumping into. I want to go back to trust. And a couple weeks ago, my last Shane's Diary episode, I shared about a Course in Miracles, which is a teaching that I've studied for the last, 12, 15 years, something like that. It's become central to my life. And trust is one of the core principles in A Course in Miracles. In fact, in a way, it's the parent of all the others. So it's like you start with trust. And your ability to trust, again, not another person, but to trust your journey, to trust your life, to trust God, the universe, to trust yourself in the face of everything that shows up, to live in the energy and the quality of trust, not like, oh, trust that person, but trust as a state of being, trust as a relationship with life. And it says about trust, it says that we trust the world because we realize that it is not governed by the laws the world made up. It is governed by a power that is in us, but not of us. And it is this power that keeps all things safe. I love that quote. We trust the world because we realize that it's not governed by the laws the world made up. That underneath all the crazy laws that the world operates under, and all the fear and all the projection and all the inconsistency and all the drama and all the chaos, underneath this, there's a subtle order, there's a vibrational law. And if you have eyes to see it, you can see it. You can see that things are not as random or chaotic as they appear to be. That somehow, no matter how crazy the world has gotten, we haven't blown ourselves up yet. We're still here. And even though sometimes it seems like it's as bad as it can get, when you look at the steady trend across thousands of years, life is getting better and better and better and better and better. Yeah, there are a lot of peaks and valleys along the way. But when you look at where people were even 1,000 years ago, there's so much more access, there's so much more abundance, there's so much more available to the average person. And yeah, there are a lot of challenges along the way. Evolution is messy. But life as a whole steadily improves over time. And that happens on the collective level, and it tends to happen on the individual level too. Unless somebody's just so committed to their own smallness that they don't even try. And so we trust that there's an order, there's a design, there's a protective hand keeping all things safe. We trust that there is a power that is in us but not of us. So it's not of my ego. It's something that is inherent in who I am and the way that I was created. Going back to what I touched on earlier, it's that power to alchemize. That power is in me. I didn't give myself that power. It came in my creation. It's a part of who I am. It's a part of how I was made. It's not something that my ego gave me. My ego actually distracts from it. It's a part of who I am. And that's why it's not about what happens. It's not about whether we get what we want or not. It's about who we are in the process and who we're becoming. Trust doesn't mean I'm going to trust that I get everything I want and then I'm going to be okay. Trust means I trust that I'm okay right now. I trust that everything I truly need is already within me. And the more I live from that and stay grounded and centered in that place, the more that expands. I'm already whole. Nothing can complete me. Nothing can give me something that's not already within me. But what I can do is be deeply rooted and deeply connected to the essence and the truth of who I am, which is love. And that can expand in my life. And that can expand into greater and greater reflections of love. To partnership, family, friendship, community, joy, celebration. And even if right now you look around at your life and you say, I don't have the relationship I want, or I don't have the family I want, or I feel lonely this time of year, and that's all valid. This is a tough time of year. But is there a part of you that could just trust what's inside of you? And that doesn't, as I said earlier, it doesn't mean to spiritually bypass the emotion around it. If you're lonely, feel the loneliness. If you're disappointed, feel the disappointment. A big part of my work is not trying to guard ourselves from the things we don't want to feel, and instead embrace them. But when you do that, something magical happens. When you really embrace the loneliness, or when you really embrace the disappointment, or when you really embrace the fear of, is it ever going to happen for me? Is it always going to be this way? It's kind of like you could imagine that you're moving through a cloud towards the sun. And so on this side of the cloud, let's say it's fear or loneliness or disappointment, on this side of the cloud, it looks really dark because the cloud is blocking the sun. But when you embrace that emotion, it's like you move through the cloud towards the sun. And when you move through that emotion, what you realize is that the sun was always shining on the other side. It just got clouded out by the emotion. And the sun is who you are. The sun is the truth. The cloud is not. The cloud is ephemeral. It's impermanent. It just passes through the sky. And so as you embrace whatever emotions this season are bringing up, you open your heart to that. You let yourself feel it. You let that move through your body. What it ultimately returns you to is the truth of who you are. And the more you experience that, the more you trust. And the more you trust, the more that becomes the origin point for that which you are to expand and reflect itself back to you in your life. So I don't want to say too much more today. I wanted to take a moment and send just a heartfelt message of love and compassion to anyone who's listening, wherever you are right now. I hope that these words can help you settle into some peace this season. And know that the new year is right around the corner. There's going to be a time for resolution. There's going to be a time for intention. There's going to be a time to jump back into work and goals and everything you're moving towards. But maybe in this last few weeks of the year, you could give yourself permission to just rest. Give yourself permission to be at peace with where you are right now without the pressure of feeling like you need to get somewhere else. Let your soul feel what it feels like to just let yourself off the hook and be where you are now and to have that place be okay. And let that be the energy that you step into the new year with. Let that be the energy that shapes your intentions. Not a clinging to something you're not, but stepping into it from who you already are. I do just want to make this invitation one more time as we close out the year. I've mentioned it on the last few episodes, but we have opened up a few spaces in my Inspired Love program, and we have a few more left. We've been enrolling last couple of weeks. So this is for anyone who wants to work closely with me in the new year. It's an 8-week journey to really start your year. We're going to be exploring these principles of conscious love, as I mentioned, trust, and there are several other ones that we explore throughout this 8-week journey. We work somatically with the body to release things that we're holding in the body. You get live hands-on coaching with me. You're part of an amazing, supportive community of like-minded people on this journey with you. But I want to say, I'm making this invitation, and I do, if you feel called, I do want you to take that step and join us in January. But what I really want to say is, I'm not offering you this as a way to fix something that's wrong with you. I'm offering you this as a safe place where you can be seen, where you can be held, where you can be supported in community as you wake up to more of who you already are. That's what this process is for. And if that calls to you, if that speaks to you, if there's something there that resonates and you say, yes, that's the environment that I want to be in as I start my new year, then you can go to inspiredloveapproach.com. You can start there. You can also click the link in the show notes right below wherever you're listening, and you can start there. And if you don't feel called, that's okay. Thank you for listening this year. Thank you for being on this journey with me, for tuning into the podcast. Really appreciate it. All of you, every single one of you, thank you. I'm going to keep showing up. I'm going to keep bringing the best possible insights and support I can as we're all on this journey together. As I said, the next couple of weeks, I'm going to be releasing some best of 2025 episodes. So make sure to tune in and catch those. These were our most loved episodes from the past year. And I'll be back in January. Be back in January to kick the year off with you, continue supporting you on your journey to love and everything that comes with that. And I just want to wish you so much love and blessings. Again, thank you for listening this year. Thank you for being part of this community. It really means the world to me. And I want to wish you the very best holidays, new year, all of it. Whatever you're wishing for, that's what I wish for you. And most of all, I wish that you can see how amazing you are, how worthy you are, how lovable you are, and that this holiday season you can connect to that and embrace that in yourself. So thank you, blessings, love. I'll see you back here in January, and take care, everybody. Happy holidays. Bye. Thanks again for checking out the show. Please subscribe on whatever platform you listen to podcasts on the most. And I would love it so much if you leave a review and tell people what you think of us. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram @TheLivingRelationship to connect more closely. And I'm grateful to be supporting you on your journey to love.